Nothing, baby. Let's go. That's the world now. That's the whole world.
Welcome to the Lone Star College Football Show. I'm your host, Chris Daly. Each episode, I will bring you news and information about college football in Texas, not just the FBS school, anyone who plays college football in the great state of Texas. I will do so by talking with the people making it happen on the gridiron, the head coaches, the staff, the players, but mostly the head coaches. Thank you for joining us. This is Season 1, Episode 2. The Houston Baptist University Huskies play in the Southland Conference. And today, I talk with their head coach, Vic Shealy. And we have to take a second to thank our title sponsor this year, Junior's Smokehouse. Yeah, Junior's Smokehouse, you can find at juniorsjerky.com. They have everything you can imagine: pork and venison sausage, beef sausage, all kinds of great dried meats, jerkies, wonderful spices, rubs, you name it. In fact, you have to go check out the website just to figure it out. There's great gift boxes. And I have to tell you, if you want to guarantee that your gift is ready by Christmas, make sure you go online and place your order before December 13th. They get very busy sending out probably the most wonderful gift you can give somebody for Christmas: some beef jerky, some dried sausage, some good manly food. That's Junior Smokehouse on Highway 59 in Texas between Wharton and El Campo. But again, you can find all of it online at juniorsjerky.com. You can also reach owner Lane Tabola and his staff at 979-531-0888. You can order online, you can order on the phone, you can go by like I do. Luckily, I'm so close to it. And check out some of the amazing processed meats they have. Such good stuff. That's Junior's Texas Best Smokehouse. All right, everybody join me in welcoming former NAIA Coach of the Year and National Coach of the Year, Vic Shealy, head coach of HBU. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing great. I tell you what, this time of year, just excitement about seeing kids begin to put pads on again and get ready to play another year. It's some of the best moments that I enjoy as a coach.
I bet. And looking forward to seeing some Southland football, I bet.
Absolutely. Last year was tough in the fact that a lot of the conference changes that were occurring, and I think everybody, if not careful, were a little bit more focused on that. But, the Southland's in an incredible healthy position with Lamar and Incarnate Word kind of solidifying their relationship to it, and with Commerce coming in along with us in the Louisiana schools, it's really kind of shaping up to be a great conference once again, and exciting to see who's going to be the top guys. Nice.
Well, I guess for those who aren't familiar with you, give me some of your background. I know you've been at HBU since it started playing football, but give me some of your background.
Yeah, so entering our ninth year here at HBU, and we started back in 2014 in the Southland, and kind of the journey to build a winner here. Before being here at HBU, I was the defensive coordinator at the University of Kansas, worked for a coach by the name of Turner Gill, a great player at Nebraska and really a strong coach. Before that, I was a defensive coordinator at UNLV there in Vegas, and then I was a longtime assistant at the Air Force Academy. And then before that, as you mentioned earlier, I was at Azusa Pacific. We were fortunate to win a national championship there, and really enjoy, probably for me, a big learning curve, trying to figure out how to operate effectively from the chair of a head coach as opposed to a coordinator.
Nice. And talk about the ups and downs of being heading the Huskies, because it's had some good stuff and it's had some bad stuff.
Yeah, I think, probably most even coaches in the profession, and I would be one of those back 10 years ago, really do not understand some of the challenges, but also some of the rewards starting a football from scratch. When we came in here back 10 years ago, there was not a football on campus. Frankly, at that point in time, I'm not sure the decision had been totally made as to where our offices would even be. But, we've made a fairly quick jump. I think 2014 was our first year, as I mentioned, in the league. By 2016, we finished mid-pack in the Southland, won 4 Southland Conference games and did some really neat things that occurred. Kind of struggled in the 2017-2018 year. It was a time in which a lot of the young kids that we recruited to play in 2014 had kind of started to graduate and move on, and we got kind of young again. Struggled a little bit in 2018, but in 2019, we were 3 weeks in the national rankings and went on to do some incredible things. Had what we felt like a great FCS roster coming back in 2020. COVID impacted all of college football, but for us, it really did not give us a chance to really see what that team was all about. We had some significant players, certainly Bailey Zappi, who was now drafted this year in the 4th round by the Patriots, and Jared Stearns, who was probably going to make the roster there of Tampa Bay as a wide receiver, along with a player last year that is now with the Chicago Bears, a linebacker, Caleb Johnson. We had a tremendously talented roster, almost beat Texas Tech on the road, and did some things that we'll never know exactly how far that team could have gone. But with the portal, a lot of guys left the portal. I think we had 7 starters on offense after the 2020 season that ended up scholarship athletes at FBS programs, and I think about 3 on defense. And so, that kind of brought us back to a young program again, and it was tough. And last year we endured through that and lost a quarterback early in the season to a head injury that was not able to return. We had a tremendous number of injuries, and not to make excuses, but it was just a tough year. And but I think now where we are going into 2022, we've got a much older, mature roster. We've infused some transfers into it, and I'm excited. I kind of feel like we're back maybe real similar to where we were in 2019.
I like it. And if you could, talk about that roster. I've seen some names out there, Reynolds at wide receiver, of course, Dansby at linebacker. Talk about some of the players that fans should be paying attention to.
Well, we brought a transfer quarterback in from Northern Iowa, Justin Fomby. Started there as a redshirt freshman. He and another redshirt freshman split time. They brought a transfer quarterback in from Michigan State, and so the 2 freshman redshirts both decided to enter the portal, and so we were able to get one of them. But Justin is tremendously talented. He has an NFL-looking body and just arm talent that's one to covet. And we really feel like he's a special leader also, and so we're excited about what that looks like. I think we have a pretty good idea of what a good-looking quarterback looks like, after having Bailey here. And so I think Justin is in the same DNA as certainly Bailey. I think Carl Reynolds, as you mentioned, the nation's top JC wide receiver statistically, and Carl is a tremendously athletic player. We were very fortunate that Carl wanted to stay home. He's a Houston product and had opportunities to go to many schools further from Houston, but we really feel like he has an opportunity to be recognized, and that his play will be recognized as one of the top in all of FCS. I think when we kind of look at some of the other players that we have really started to develop offensively, excited about running back Xavier Ford and R.J. Smith, really 2 guys that last year as freshmen really we thought did some really good things. We really feel like some of the additional receivers that we've added, it's been a very good recruiting class of young receivers coming in. So I think that group is also going to be exceptional. I think on defense, Rodney Dansby has quickly proved himself to be one of the best linebackers in all of FCS, to be a true freshman and to be recognized as the conference leader in tackles and to be all-conference player, to be now as a sophomore preseason all-conference. Last year, he was one of the finalists for the Jerry Rice Award, which is the award given to the top FCS player in the country. To be on that list is significant, and to be a freshman All-American. So, certainly Rodney has quickly made an impact in our league and our roster. The guy that plays next to him, Brendan Young, is now a player entering his senior year that has also been one of the leaders in productivity at linebacker in the Southland, and was a freshman and sophomore All-American. So we really feel like our two inside linebackers are special. Isaiah Cash is a safety who's one of the best athletes in the Southland. He's a 24-foot plus long jump, won his freshman year the Southland Conference long jump title. And so he's truly one of those balanced athletes. He's very dynamic. And I think we have certainly other really talented guys that, I could probably keep going. But I think when you look at some guys really to take notice of, we do have Brady Buell, our returning punter. Last year was recognized as one of the top punters in the nation. And so I feel like, we've continued to probably really do a good job of bringing about and developing specialists also.
Nice. And what about the lines? The offensive defensive line. That's kind of where the rubber hits the road. What do you got going there?
Well, I think we're excited about the guys who come back last year because of the injuries that quickly mounted. We ended up starting and playing for most of the season 2 freshman offensive tackles, Deion Daniels and Andrew Alvarado. And both of them are guys that are of size and they're good athletes. I think the component of the weight room and the strength development that an offensive lineman has to mature through, was probably the area that, we had to probably as coaches look back and say, when those guys get that part under their belt, they're going to be really, really good. And so we've seen both of those guys make quick gains. And so we expect those guys to play well for us again. We have brought in a transfer offensive lineman by the name of Elijah Hall. Elijah was one of the top offensive linemen in the state of Texas. Simon Baylor, but was there for a year. When Matt Rule moved on to the Carolina Panthers and that coaching change, he decided to move on to Sam Houston, and then the same thing happened. The offensive staff left Sam Houston last year and kind of lost his coach that he had a connection with. And so, while he's had to make a little bit of a journey out of his college career, he's a difference maker. He's a road grader as an offensive lineman, and Elijah's a big guy. He's one of those 6'5", 330-pound guards that really can play. And so, we feel like he's been pretty good. We had a couple of other offensive linemen, Will Brewer, who was our best offensive lineman we felt like last year going into the season. The second day of fall camp, had a pretty major foot fracture and kept him out of the season. He's back now, and along with Christian Hood, who's been a all-conference center for us in the Southland. So, we feel like the parts of building the offensive line has come back to us. On defense, I feel like everybody's always chasing edge rushers, and we brought in a transfer edge guy from Cornell University, a guy who is immensely talented, has one of those NFL bodies. He's a 6'4", 245-pound outside linebackers, and Jedix Hunt is his name, and Jedix is a really, really athletic guy. We feel like he'll give us some pressure. And we're also excited, another transfer from Tennessee State, that Sincere Little is a 3-technique edge rush guy that'll be pretty good. We're excited. Devin Mason and Xavion Smith are our 2 inside guys, and we feel like those guys played well last year. So we feel like we're going to be in really good shape. Xavion Evans is another outside linebacker that's much like Jedix Hunt, in terms of the physical stature and same type of DNA. And so we feel like we're really athletic. I think the big challenge for us here in August is to develop the number 2s, the guys that are really going to have to play a lot of football, but may not necessarily be the first guys to take the snap on September 3rd, but certainly will have to play. So developing the trenches is a big priority for us.
Got it. Well, the greater Houston area is a hotbed of some of the best football players in the country. What is your sales pitch when recruiting to the Houston kids? Well,
I think for so many of them, Houston has been a big part of what they feel like really epitomizes high school football played at its greatest. And I know so often we talk about Houston versus Dallas and things like that in terms of, the top teams in the state, but, Houston doesn't take a backseat to anybody in terms of the product that it produces. And, so I feel like for a lot of times, for many players to have a chance to play their college career in front of the same people that really followed them through successful high school careers is important. I think HBU is a phenomenal academic institution, and Houston is a hotbed for professional career opportunities. And so, you take a guy that is shown himself to be a good student, that academics are important, that his academic major, how it begins to correlate with his ability to earn a great living after his football career is over with. Is not really a better place in Houston, Texas for that to come about. We feel like, the Southland Conference is one of the most, if not the most athletic FCS conference in the country. And the chance to play against great people week in and week out. Many cases, the players that they play against in college are some of the same players that they play against in high school. So it's a familiarity with the conference that makes a difference. And so those are some of the big reasons. And then, we're also looking for those guys that want to try to build something special. That part of their legacy would be able to take a program who is still early in its timeline and get it to the playoffs and do something significant to have that as a part of their football legacy.
Nice. And if you could talk about the NIL, I was just talking with Joey McGuire at Tech, and they have the Matador Club, a collective, and Sarkisian's telling me they have a collective. What impact has the NIL had on HBU?
I think one of the things right now, and so I'm kind of speak collectively in terms of FCS football. A lot of people know it as 1AA from a few years back. But typically, the FCS schools do not have the financial structure around it that a Big 12 school, for example, would have, to where you have the individuals that can, give into the collective and then obviously compensate, individuals. So that is probably FCS-wide. There's probably very, very, very few schools that can really speak at the FCS level to the NIL ability to compensate their players. What we're seeing right now is more a situation where players in our program have an opportunity to leave an FCS school like HBU or, Lamar or Incarnate Word or McNeese State, and to go to an FBS program to where that becomes a very real part of their life. And so with that, you begin to see that the growing trend at the FCS level, will be that many of our players will have a decision to make, whether they choose to stay at a place like HBU or at those other FCS schools I mentioned, or whether they go ahead and make a move towards an FBS program where they can receive some of those benefits. And I don't think it's a wrong decision for some of those guys to do that. I just think it's where we are in this day and time. And, I really even think some of the G5 schools really don't have the ability to financially compete with, some of the Big 12. And so I think we're all a little bit at this point in time bracing just to see what the impact truly will be. And I think even some of the schools currently in the Power 5 conferences, not all those will end up being some of the most elite, schools where the collective is really impacting the game. And even as we had multiple FBS schools that came in and attended our June camps, to watch the Houston kids that came out to it, many of just some of those schools really don't have the same collectives that you're talking about that that many in this state at the Big 12 level do.
Got it. And so let's talk about the Southland. A lot of people are saying Southeastern again. How do you see the Southland turning out this year?
last year it was the league of quarterbacks, and everybody in the league had not just a returning quarterback, but they had a quarterback that had done significant things. And so right now we're kind of seeing a little bit of unknown by a lot of programs as to who the quarterback is going to be. I know, just like we've gone out and recruited Justin Fonby to be our guy, and we feel like he can be, certainly we feel like he has the DNA to be as good as anybody in the league. But there's really only one starting returning quarterback in the league, and it's the young man that was at Nicholls State last year who's now transferred to Incarnate Word. And so I think, it'll be interesting to see if the offenses this year will be as explosive, because last year, just the numbers that came out of the Southland were just unbelievable offensively. I think it's a league where there's a lot of returning defensive players, particularly front six guys on defense. The defensive linemen and linebackers are extremely good. So we'll see if this kind of becomes the league that early on plays really good defense, and the teams that can kind of figure out the offensive, output are the ones that they can kind of separate themselves. So I think it'll be a lot of parity. I think it'll be an exciting year within our league. But, I think the unknown is really just how well the offenses will play.
So because it's so unknown, it's pretty wide open, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think even a team like, A&M Commerce that comes in as one of the nation's top Division II schools, they bring in a talented Division II roster. And, a lot of folks are kind of like, well, even to kind of quote some of the A&M Commerce players and what have you there at our media day last week, they don't know much about our league, and where they fit and where they compete. So that's a new guy. But, I do think that Incarnate Word and Southeastern and Nicholls, I feel like they have a lot of returning guys on defense. And so good defense usually produces competitive football teams. And so, we'll just see. I like where we are developmentally on defense and DNA-wise. And so, I think that unknown always makes it kind of interesting and fun.
Definitely. And try your best not to give me the typical coach answer that the next game's the important one. Talk to me about your schedule. What games stick out?
Well, I think that sometimes to avoid some of those, what you're talking about, Coach Obvious comments, but, for us at the FCS level, not enough teams play other FCS schools in other regions of the United States. But when you do, it gives you an opportunity to put yourself in a position as a team where national rankings follow. Really quickly going back to 2019, week 3, we're facing a nationally ranked University of South Dakota, and we went up there and beat them. And so the next subsequent 3 weeks we're in the national rankings, and so the byproduct of that is huge. And so for us, playing Northern Colorado week 1 gives us that chance, and then the Ohio Valley Conference champion Tennessee Martin comes into our place at mid-season. So facing 2 out of region FCS teams, I look forward to that opportunity. For us, once we get to playing week 3 Texas State, I think for any kid in our program that's from Texas and you're playing a FBS school in the state, it's a great moment. And so I am excited about playing Texas State. I do feel like it'll be a heck of a ball game, and I expect to see our guys really compete hard and compete well. And then, obviously the conference, at the end of the day at FCS level, where we're all fighting for playoff positions, kind of more similar to high school than the bowl type of outcome at the end of the season. We're all competing to be one of the top 3 teams in the Southland. And if you're one of the top 3 teams in the Southland, you're going to the playoffs. And as we all know, then you make the playoffs, you keep winning, they keep on inviting you back. And so, I think at the end of the day, you have to look at the conference, as what it is. It's really the qualifying mark to get into the postseason. I
like it. And tell me, in now your 10th season, is that long enough to have built some strong rivalries? And who are they?
I really feel like we were starting to kind of build that relationship with Lamar. Before last year they jumped to the WAC. Now that they're back, I know there are a lot of folks here in the Houston area that would talk about Lamar and talk about Incarnate Word. I do think that probably Incarnate Word is the most likely team that you're kind of seeing that begin to shape in the fact that obviously they're another private, Christian university as we are. So we share some sameness in that regard. We both came into the league in 2014 as FCS. They made the jump to Division II. Obviously, we started football, but it all occurred the same year. So there's some things there that I think in time, I think that is one of the challenges of being a new program, much like Incarnate Word is that you're trying to define what that looks like. But really, in looking at it, we're kind of looking at Lamar and Incarnate Word as those two teams.
Excellent. Well, I definitely will be checking back with you during the season. Coach Vic Shealy, I want to thank you so much for sitting down with me and sharing a little bit about this upcoming year.
Well, great, Chris. And listen, best to you is you just kind of tell the story of all the great things that are going on in this state.
I love it. Take care. Hey, if you want coverage of your school or just want to give a shout out to your team, leave us a voicemail at 713-568-6361 and we'll play it out on the show. That number again is 713-568-6361. Also, do us a favor and give us a rating and review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We will also read out the best reviews on the air. Until next time, I'm Chris Daly reminding you to get out there and enjoy some football.
This podcast is certified fresh. FreshMediaWorks.com.
And once again, I want to thank Junior's Smokehouse for being the title sponsor of the Lone Star College Football Show. I look forward to telling you more about them each and every episode.